This is me. When I was born with a fatal disease. And the doctors told me, or my mother, that she's not going to become an adult. She'll never make it. She's going to die. There's no hope for her. My mother had some options then. At that point, we were in Adak, Alaska. It's a small island. There's really nothing there, no good medical attention or anything like that nature. So it was up to her to take me to someplace with a better hospital or just seek God. My mother had just become a Christian when she was pregnant with me, and I called me her kind of miracle baby. And the name Angela comes from the word angel as a heavenly messenger, and it was important for my mother. She began to pray and seek God as a new Christian, and God told her not to take me to a hospital, that He would provide. My mother took this huge leap of faith on my behalf, even though everyone was against her. The whole world was telling her she's a bad mother. But she knew that this is what God told her, and she clung to that very word. Years down the road, they were still telling you should get her checked. But my mother knew I was healed. And she knowing that I was healed, took me to a hospital to prove it. And the doctor there didn't really know my condition or my history, and said, there's nothing wrong with this child. And my mother there got that confirmation. All right, God, you did it. I knew you did it. She's healed. She has a great destiny for her life. So coming from there, that's what I had in my mind, the pressure to live up to. I was always trying to figure out, of course this is what my parents did. Christianity is what they did, but where did that fit into my life? Was this me? Is this just my family? What is this? I've always had bad eyesight as a child. Had to wear really thick glasses, was made fun of. I had the ridicule, you go to school and get bullied, and it was a big deal. I was really at that point old enough to seek God a little bit and find out, you did it before, God, and I know you can do it again. I went to church and a preacher saying, and if you come forward, I'll pray for you and you get healed. And I was young enough and pure enough to just take him at his word and to believe it. What I would give to go back to the simplicity of that at times in my life, it's like, I just believed, I went forward. And from that day, from that moment, I didn't need glasses again. And I witnessed yet again God's power and presence in my life. Going on later in life, though, I love church. It's something that brings me great joy in life. But I began to feel isolated and like I didn't fit in. And I couldn't figure out, God, I'm your child. They're your children. Why isn't this working? Where do I belong in this church? Then I thought, well, why is that? We're all children of God. Why is it that I have to stand out not only in the secular world but in church? Why can't I fit in here, God? I lived a life where we moved around a lot. My parents did inner city missions, and we've done international missions, and we've been a part of doing stuff for God. And so the constant moving and changing churches allowed me to see a vast expanse of what different churches are and the different kind of youth groups and the things that the children's ministries and youth ministries, and each one was seeming very similar to me. None of them I fit into, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was at a major crossroad of 16 years old, trying to figure out, is this going to be my relationship with God? Or is this going to be something my family does? Am I going to take this from this professional Christianity, where I have this, from the outside perspective, everything's together. It's like, is there more to this? What do I do? Even though it looks like I got everything together and people on the outside are pleased with what they see, I'm feeling very empty, Lord. I feel incomplete. Something's missing. And at that point, my mother drugged me out on a Friday night to a little church located in a barn. And I thought my world had just ended. I thought, are you kidding me? Friday night in a barn? I mean, how much more backwards does this get? It's like, my mother made me go, and I'll never forget sitting in the back of that church, arms crossed, sitting in the very back row, determined not to receive a thing from that service. And God began to speak to me, and I began to see youth in that church worshiping God as I looked around. And I thought, wait a minute, there's something a little different here. So I got settled into my seat a little bit more, and I thought, these people seem a little more genuine about it. I decided to give it another try, so I went back on another night, and eventually we changed and after moving away and coming back, we decided to go to that church. As I started to go there and get more involved, and God just started radically getting a hold of my heart in a way that I'd never experienced since the time of my healing, I would say, when I was really tiny and was so in that pure state of belief. It started going back to that, and I was like, all right, this is it. I'm starting to really understand more, God's love towards me. And I decided at that point that I was going to choose to serve God, not because my parents did, not because anybody else thought my life looked good when I was doing that, or that it made me have everything all together, but because God loved me and called me according to His purposes and had great things for my life, and I didn't want to miss out on it. So at that age of 16, I really started making that transition. By 18, God had spoke to my heart to go to Bible school, and I went in faith and started my life there, but still I was trying to figure out more specifically what God had for me, as I was generally trying to get back into that flow of things with God, just the basic relationship, and trying to really build that back up. But God began to speak to me and open my heart towards missions. I find it really ironic, and this really convinces me that God has a sense of humor, because I resented my parents for doing missions as a child, and I always thought they were cruel for making me move when I didn't want to move. And then suddenly God calls me to do missions work, and I thought, really? Are you serious? But then it got so intense and so strong in my heart, and I thought, no, this is it. I don't know where, I don't know when, but this is it. And I had to choose an internship to go on, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have the finances. I didn't have anything I needed to go overseas, or do anything of that nature. But I just was praying, and God gave me a dream about some samurai warrior in Japan, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird. No wonder what I ate last night. But then I thought, well, I'll just keep it up on a shelf, and we'll see where it goes. And the next day, my professor pulled me aside and said, hey, Angela, I don't know why, but I really see you in Japan. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, that's far away, and I know nothing about Japan. I don't have the resources, nothing. My God, if you want that to happen, great, I'll do it. But you're going to have to provide. God began to restore that faith, that ability to believe beyond what I could see, to go beyond that. And that's really what I just clung to for that season. And suddenly God just poured in finances. I just started preparing, okay, God, this is what you want me to do, and we'll see what happens from that. And, God came through in so many ways. Not only did I get what I needed to go, did I find that moment of restoring that faith, that childlike faith in God, and that excitement about God just began to bubble up within me. And God sent me out and embarked me on a tremendous adventure and experience in Japan, to which I ended up spending 7 years ministering, and ended up meeting my husband in Japan. It all seems so impossible with the human eyes, with our just natural eyes. That shouldn't have happened. And the path that I was going in, and the background I came from of not liking to travel, not wanting to go here or there, and seeing what God was able to do. Just because I decided, I had that moment where I was like, this is no longer going to be a professional religion, a professional thing, professional Christianity, but it had to shift and transition to a personal relationship, to something much deeper. No one else could do it for me. It had to be a personal choice. And just to see what God's done through that, I am so blessed, and I would encourage people to dream big. You may think, what I want to do is just crazy. You're not going to dim the lights in heaven by asking something big. God is fully capable of superseding your wildest dreams, whatever it is. Dream big. Don't limit God, because He doesn't want to be limited. He wants to bless you. He wants to take you further than you've even dreamed possible. So I just want to encourage you all to be pursuers, to don't give up. Don't get comfortable. Don't just sit back and watch others go ahead while you're unsure or, afraid, walking in fear. But break out of that. Seek God, because He wants to be a part of your life. and he will be found.